Hi. So now we're going to talk about this is on our entrepreneurial, about entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial journey here. We're going to talk about marketing and awareness campaigns, making potential customers aware of your product or service and communicating your value proposition, all those kind of things. This is really key, right? This is the outside part. First, you're making your product. That's the sort of the inside part and the operations of how you make them to deliver them and distribution, all that. But this is where you generate sales. This is the sales part where you're trying to pitch what you have and have people find it compelling enough to buy it. So let's get started with the slide deck here. Tell people about it, right? Marketing, word of mouth is the best marketing. If because people trust their friends and things. If they say you got to go see that movie, it's the coolest thing. Or you got to listen to this song, it's amazing. Or you got to try this product, it's unbelievable. That's what people really trust, and well, they'll do it instead of uh, trusting someone that's giving them a pitch on something because they're suspicious of what their agenda is. Right? They're trying to sell you that thing. And this is how you grow your company, right? So having a one sentence pitch we're going to go over, using social media is a great way to reach people, word of mouth, and growth hacking. We'll talk about that too. So we've talked about Airbnb and what we're going to talk about what marketing actually is. We've talked about Airbnb before, and they they were just languishing along. Their product existed and they had a website, and the business model made sense, right? We talked about the all. The problem was that people's photos were terrible. People did their photos with their with their camera, or whatever, and didn't have good lighting, and so nobody booked because it looked like these were creepy places where some psycho was gonna maybe attack you or something. So what'd they do? Well, something that didn't scale, right? They flew to New York and rented a camera and photographed all the listings themselves. Can you imagine? They went to people's houses and said, "Can we do professional photographs?" And then they hired professional photographers and all to go and make people for free, make professional photographs all around the country for their listings. And then what happened? The rentals shot up. All of a sudden, everybody thought it was really great. Bookings in New York on that doubled in a month. So they knew that that was going to work. And so marketing is everything you do to connect your value proposition to the people who need it. That's what we're trying to do. Product market fit, right? We're trying to convince people of communicate with them. It's messaging. It's messaging what you have and targeting the people that need what you have. So old style marketing was, you'd maybe take a photograph, it would go into a magazine, and you hope that maybe you got some ads from, you'd put an ad on television. There was no way to measure those kind of things, right? It was one direction, and there was a big time lag between when you produced something, your advertisement, and when it actually reached people and when they made their decision. So it was very difficult to measure, really difficult to measure. So, and it was expensive, very expensive. So now what do? We have two-way conversations with our customers. We talk to them. Customers maybe share what you're doing, question it, and they shape the product by what their questions are, right? Social media tools, they're mostly free. You can get on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or any of these tools, YouTube, and you can start to communicate with potential audiences. And it requires you being creative, not just having, you don't need a big budget. You can use your phone, record something, upload it to a social media site, and then start to see what kind of traction you get. So it's really a great time to be doing marketing, and marketing is so much easier now. I mean, more information now because it's data driven. So let's see, here is the next one. Here is finding your customers. That's the thing. We want to find where they are so we can target them. And the social, when you go into advertising social media, they have really extremely good micro targeting tools where you can say what the preferences are, what kind of people you want to target, ages, what their preferences are. And because the social media sites have so much information about people, they can create an audience based on very, very targeted information. So, for the middle schoolers, they're online with TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. working parents are more Facebook maybe. Um, and so, you have to figure out where they're going to be, who they're influenced by, and then where they're residing online and in person. And just pick one channel, pick one or two channels, but start with one channel. You don't have to have two channels, and and do it well, and then expand once you have evidence that it's working. That's really a super key to this, right? So now we're going to talk about the most powerful marketing there is, and that's word of mouth, obviously, right? So people trust their friends and peers more than an advertisement. Just think about yourself and what you actually listen to, and when your best friend says you have to try this, you do. When a banner ad says it, you probably ignore it. Maybe you try it if it really reaches what you need and stuff. So you have to deliver something worth talking about. We have to think about making our products and services so good that people are going to say, that's amazing. That really changed my life, or that really delivers something that really, I know you have the same problem. Why don't you try this? It's really helped me. And create a memorable experience. People share things that surprise them. So if you want people to share it online or something, you have to make something fun. Humor is a great way to get advertising across, and make it easier to share. Make it easy to share. And ask for reviews and testimonials early on. Testimonials are just a great way, and reviews too. We look at things and say, how many reviews did that book get on Amazon? Or a testimonial from people to say, this is really a great product. That goes a long way. And it also, if you ask for testimonials, it helps you to refine your product. If they say they really enjoyed this part of it, or that part of it, or this was kind of, you can fix it or double down on what they think is really good. So social media, let's do just a practical guide. There's a lot of different channels, a lot of different ways to use those channels, but pick one channel and one sort of media and commit to that. Whether it's going to be video is probably the best way. Doing short videos on YouTube or on Facebook or Instagram, TikTok's amazing for that, right? And, or X, and see what really works for you. Um, you, you can also do articles and written things, but they're kind of tougher to reach people with than just a quick video that's sort of funny. Think about the amazing way that the new mayor of New York got elected. I mean, he did a whole bunch of really fun little videos, and it was enough, on social media to get him elected. People actually resonated with him. So those are the kind of things you want to do, and you want to be consistent. You're not going to do like one post or something. You got to do post after post after post, and really be consistent with it and work with it. And lead with value, not promotion. You want to actually give people some real value in a number of posts before you even start talking about what your product or service is. You don't want to make it sound too salesy. You want to say, give people good quality content with value in it, and engage with them. Don't just broadcast. Reply to every comment that you see. Respond to every message. That's your feedback. That's so valuable. That stuff is precious. That's how you're going to refine your products and make them even better. So the nice thing too is it's creative. There's low cost ways to grow. Um, so Dropbox used referrals, and it really, really did them well. And give referral discounts. If somebody, a customer comes in, they give a referral, give them a discount, and also maybe give them part of the money that you receive from that particular customer. It's probably cheaper than the advertising. It's amazing, and then that gives people an incentive to do that type of advertising for you. And if you give a discount, if you give them some of the money, give a discount to the person coming in, everybody wins. And you get new customers. So, a scarcity approach, we're only, time's running out. You got to do it right now. That could really well. And free samples or trials. One of the biggest obstacles is to trying your thing right away. Is like, well, you got to pay before you try it. Well, I don't know if I'm going to use, how am I going to know if I like it or not? If you give them a free trial for a certain amount of time, or for like a freemium model with a certain limited scope of, the feature set, then people can get comfortable and understand what it is. Give them a trial. Let people get comfortable with what you're doing. with what you have. That's really, key. Let's see, I went over 2 there. So, branding, right? Let's talk about branding. You can spend way too much time on branding, but, you wanna branding does certainly matter, and you wanna have a memorable name, easy to say, easy to spell, hints at what you do. If you wanna try to trademark that, you have to make something that's a little bit random of a word. If your name of your company is too, explanatory of what it does, then you can't get a trademark. But if you have some sort of a random name or something like that, it's easier to trademark, and it's more fun too. And it's nice to get, simple and clear, but it's nice to, have a nice logo. And you can make a logo very quickly, and you can always change the logo later. But, pick some colors, pick a font, pick a name, pick a little tagline, and have that visual identity consistent across everything that you do. A nice tool to use for that is like Canva, or you can use any of the AI tools, Claude or ChatGPT, and make some nice branding to get started. You can always change it later, but that gets you started with something that looks really nice and good. And it's fun. This is the creative part. This is really the fun part, right? So don't change your look constantly, obviously, but don't overcomplicate it like it's not set in concrete. You can always revise it or change it later. But just stand, just stand something up and spin it up and get started is better than waiting and polishing and making sure it's the best thing ever. We don't want to waste that kind of time. So the nice thing about marketing now, I mean, the great thing, the real integral thing is marketing. We can now measure. You can measure how an ad performed, how many people saw it, how many people responded, engagement. Reach is the first thing. It's a funnel, right? You have a funnel at the top is reach. You put people in the funnel, and then they engage with you. And conversion is when they hit the paywall and they buy something. How many became customers, and what was that customer acquisition cost? How much did it cost to get a customer? And that has to be more than the price, obviously, of what it costs to make something, plus the advertising costs have to be less than what you sell it for. So that's why we want to sell at a nice high price so we can cover those costs. And the higher price we can, the more we can spend on marketing. And so the more people we can get. It's really key to not just cover the costs of making a product, but marketing costs as well. And marketing costs can get expensive really quick. So you have to really manage those too. So the marketing experiment loop, right? You're making a hypothesis about who your customers are, what the messaging is that they'll resonate with, and then you're testing that hypothesis. It's the scientific method, right? It's an experiment. You test it, you measure the results, you learn from those results, you course correct, or you refine, you try something new, and then you keep doing that loop. It's the same as the build, measure, learn loop that we had from chapter 5. Now it's applied to marketing. So, that it's great that we can do that now. You couldn't do that in the past, and it's all because we have these great, marketing channels and social media. Start to build an email list where you send people valuable information on a regular basis. And so really, really great time to be marketing. I got to tell you. So marketing, here's the key terms, right? Marketing, it's everything you do, not just advertising, but everything you do to communicate what you have to the people who need it. Word of mouth. Well, excuse me. Word of mouth is the best advertisement. It's a satisfied customer telling other people. That's really key. So you want to really satisfy your customers and then have them tell others about it. A referral loop is a mechanism where people enjoy the product and it leads to them referring it to other people. It's part of word of mouth, right? Conversion is when somebody buys your product, you know, and it might be a little conversion like they want you have a lead magnet, right? Where you're going to give them a little PDF booklet or something. They can download it in exchange for their email address. That's a conversion. Now you have their email address and you can cultivate them with a sequence of emails. You have to have your one sentence pitch. It has to be really clear, right? Who you help, what problem you solve, how and why you're better than the alternative, all in one sentence. That's really key. And then growth hacking, and that's low-cost strategies for growing customer base, like referral marketing and things. Customer acquisition cost, CAC, that's the total cost of acquiring a customer. That's word of mouth. Mouth always has the lowest CAC, obviously. And then content marketing, leading with value, tips, education, entertainment, those kind of things before asking for anything in return, like, hey, buy my product, right? Um, so now try it, right? Now, oh, you know what? I said all that stuff and I didn't have up this slide, but now you can see it, right? Marketing, word of mouth, referral loop, conversion, and then you look at conversion rates. How many conversions per how many people engaged? One sentence pitch, growth hacking, customer acquisition costs, and content marketing. Okay, so now we're going to try it and build your one sentence pitch, right? And then plan your first 5 pieces of marketing. So let's see here. Okay. So write your one sentence pitch using the structure from this chapter, right? And and I'm just going to go back and because I don't think we really talked about that. I think I skipped this slide and I don't want to skip anything here. Okay, here it is. Here's the one sentence pitch. We help this specific type of customer who has this problem, right? By what we do, right? And unlike the current alternative, why we're better and why that current alternative falls short. Okay, so right, so that is our one one sentence one sentence structure, the one sentence pitch, and then plan your 5 pieces of content. Write the one sentence pitch, and then pick a marketing channel. Write 5 pieces of content, not ads. Just genuinely useful or interesting content related to your customer's world. So for each piece, write down what it's about and why it would be valuable or interesting to your specific customer. That's the key. We're writing value-oriented stuff. We're really trying to understand our customers so well that we can write things that are going to help them and get them engaged with what we do. So you're starting to think like a marketer. Start with the customer's interests, not your product's features. That's really a key point. So there you have it. That's all about marketing. And now we'll move on to the next part, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay. So until then, this should give you plenty to do, right?